If your site conversion rate is less than 5%, then this video is for you. I'm going to share 7 different tips and strategies that you can implement right away to see real improvements and real uplifts in your conversions. I'm also going to show you practical ways that you can use some tools that have been around for a long time, but most people don't know how to extract useful and actionable insights from them. I am going to keep my favorite tip at the very end, so stay tuned. Why do I talk about sites with conversion rate less than 5%? Most websites go through different stages as they are trying to improve their conversion rates. Most e-commerce websites that we talk to start with a conversion rate anywhere between 1 to 2%. There are certain things that you can fix on the site, and that will help you go up to 4 to 5%. Then you will hit a plateau and you will take more advanced tips and techniques and strategies to be able to break from that 5% conversion rate to the 8% conversion rate, which is another plateau that you will hit. Hello everyone, this is Khalid with Invesp. This channel is about helping you improve your site conversion rates. We do so by sharing the best tips, techniques, and strategies on the topic. If you are new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe and like. Let's jump right in. Number 1, identifying poor messaging on landing pages. So what are your landing pages? Landing pages are the first pages that a visitor sees when they land on your website. So if I'm coming from a different website, or if I'm coming from email, if I'm coming from a social website, Instagram or Facebook, that is the landing page. How do you know if you have a problem on your landing pages? And how do you know if you have a problem with messaging or poor messaging on your landing pages? Well, there is a metric in analytics that's going to help you identify that. And that metric is bounce rate. What is bounce rate? Bounce rate is the percentage of visitors who come from another website. They land on your landing page, they land on your website, and they decide that they want to leave right away. They don't want to continue to click to another page on the website. They don't want to look at your products. They don't want to look at your category pages. They say, you know what? This website is not for me. Thank you, goodbye, and good luck. A high bounce rate on a landing page will tell you that visitors are struggling with the particular landing page. So what you need to do is first, of course, you need to find out the bounce rate for the different landing pages that you have on your website. In order for you to do so, we will have to jump into Google Analytics. So whether you are using Google Analytics Universal, which most websites are still using, or if you have upgraded to Google Analytics 4, then there's a report that will show you your top landing pages. So what you need to do is to figure out if you have a problem with a high bounce rate or not. The natural question is, how do I know if my bounce rate is high or is it too low? This will depend on the type of page that you have. If you want to learn more about bounce rate and how to look it up, then I've created a video for that, and you can find that video by clicking on this link, and I will also leave a link to that video in the description. For most e-commerce website, a bounce rate of 40% or higher is considered too high. But again, this will depend on the type of page that you have. Now, how come? That's a different topic. If you want to know more about bounce rates and how do I consider one bounce rate too high versus the other, leave a comment below and I will record a separate video about this. So now we've looked at our top landing pages report, and we've noticed that we have a whole bunch of landing pages with a high bounce rate. What does that tell us? When a visitor lands on your page, they are not sure if they are in the right place or not. That's where your messaging on the landing page matters a lot. Your messaging needs to tell visitors, yes, you are in the right places. It needs to pique the interest of your visitors to say, hey, there's something interesting over here. And it needs to tell them that, well, you can actually trust us and we are a trustworthy website. If you notice that you have landing pages with a bounce rate of 60, 70%, or in some instances, I've seen landing pages with bounce rate above 80 or 90%, then there is something absolutely that is not working for visitors when they land on that landing page. Now, there's always an exception, and that's perhaps the problem with marketing, and that is the problem with analytics. If you notice that your blog pages have a high bounce rate, then don't worry about those pages. Blog pages, especially on e-commerce websites, are notorious for having a high bounce rate. And it sort of makes sense. Somebody clicked on an article, they landed on your page, they read the article, and they said, you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm done. Goodbye and good luck. That is the reason most blog pages on most websites, whether it's e-commerce or just typical content websites, will have a high bounce rate. But if you notice that your category pages, your homepage, your product page have a high bounce rate, then there is a problem. You need to really look at those top landing pages and start evaluating the headlines that you are using on those pages. When you look at headlines for landing pages, you'll notice that there are typically three different problems that I see. One is they are too functional. They remove all emotions and they just merely say, here's what we do. The second problem is they are the other extreme. They are too emotional and too vague to the point that you have no clue what the site does. And visitors are left wondering, is like, well, am I even in the right place? What do those guys sell? And the third type of problem that I see with messaging and headline is that sometimes marketers try to avoid the first problem of having too functional of a headline, and they try and avoid having too emotional of a headline, and they end up creating what I call a markety headline. It's a headline that has been written by marketers, and users are very smart. They will sniff out headlines that have been written by marketers. So they are turned off and they say, you know what, goodbye and good luck. So how do I fix the messaging on my landing pages? Let's start with the headlines. Your headlines must have a combination of the functional aspects of what you are trying to sell with the emotional benefits of why people would want to buy your product or service. Well, how do I find that emotional side? The best way to do that is through customer interviews, one-on-one customer interviews, lengthy customer interviews. There's a whole art to conducting customer interviews, selecting the right customer, conducting the customer interviews, and then pulling insights from those customer interviews. If that is something that you are interested in, leave a comment below and I will work on recording a video on the topic. So we've talked about the headlines on the landing pages, but there is something else that you want to pay close attention to. Look at the overall design of the landing page. Remember, you communicate with your visitors in two ways: through the words that are written, number two, through the design of the page. The page is telling visitors through its design a lot of information. Are the copy and the design consistent? Are they telling visitors the same message? Are we being congruent? Is our messaging consistent throughout the page? If you look at this with a very careful eye, you might be able to understand why visitors are struggling on your landing pages and why they choose to leave. So identify the top landing pages, identify problem areas on those pages, create new headlines, fix the designs, and start deploying that. And we'll talk about how you do that a little later in this video. Let's go to number two, identifying problem areas on bottom of the funnel pages. Your bottom of the funnel pages are pages where visitors are much closer to making the purchase decision. For an e-commerce website, those pages are typically your cart page and your checkout process. Those two pages tell you that the visitor had already looked through your category pages, selected the right product, clicked and read all the product details, looked at the different product information, and clicked on the add to cart. The goal from our bottom of the funnel pages is to tell the visitor, thank you. Here is how you can actually place the order. Imagine somebody walking to a supermarket, going to a Best Buy or a Walmart. They browse through the aisles, they pick the right product, they are ready to buy, and now we just need them to walk up to the cashier or to the register and just go ahead and buy the product. That really is the goal of the cart or the checkout pages on our website. Now, how do I know if I have a problem in my cart and in my checkout? You need to go back to your analytics and you need to look at your cart abandonment rate and you need to look at your checkout abandonment rate. What is the cart abandonment rate? It's the number of people who have added items to the cart, but they've decided to leave the cart and abandon the website, saying, you know what, goodbye and good luck. Worse than that is the checkout abandonment rate, because those visitors, not only did they look at the cart page, but they actually started the checkout process. So they are even more committed. I looked through the website, I looked through the category pages, I looked at your product page, I clicked on the add to cart, I looked at the cart page, I'm good, let's start the checkout and let's just go ahead and place the order. But then those people, after they start the checkout, they decide to leave. High cart abandonment rates and high checkout abandonment rate tell you that there is a problem in either the cart or the checkout, or sometimes they tell you that their problem exists prior to the cart or the checkout. What is a high cart abandonment rate? Well, this varies from one website to the next. But if I see a cart abandonment rate above 65%, then typically that tells me that there is a problem with the cart page. If I see a checkout abandonment rate above 45%, then that tells me there is a problem in the checkout process. So what you need to do first is log into your analytics, and hopefully you have those funnels configured, and you can look at your cart abandonment rate and you can look at your checkout abandonment rate. And by the way, if you are an e-commerce website, you must, it's not even an option, you must have enhanced e-commerce enabled and implemented on your website, because that will give you tremendous amount of data on the user's behavior on your website. So let's say we notice that our cart abandonment rate is anywhere between 75 to 80%. Well, the numbers are telling us that there is a problem. That doesn't mean we know why this problem exists. So that's when we need to bunker down and do a little bit further analysis to really understand why people are struggling on the cart page and decide to walk away from the website. Let me give you an example from one website that we are working with. We've noticed after we did our analysis that their cart abandonment rate was closer to 85%. This website competes with Peloton, so they sell very expensive exercise equipment that you can use at home. The average order value for them is around $2,500. When we looked at the high cart abandonment rate, we wondered, it could be that we have a problem on the cart page, or it could be that people are struggling because it's a high order value, $2,500, or it could be a different problem altogether because you and I, most people have bought exercise equipment in the past. We probably have some exercise equipment in our attic or in our basement, and we have not used it in so many years. Any of those reasons or a combination of these reasons could be the cause for people to abandon the cart. So what you need to do is you need to start looking and evaluating and trying to come up with a hypothesis of why people are struggling. The easy fix is by looking at your cart page and making sure that there are no technical issues on the cart page. You should be able to do that if you have a quality control team, or you can hire somebody just to evaluate if there are usability or technical issues on the cart page. A bonus tip over here, one of the biggest offenders that we see on the cart and the checkout process is the promo codes, where people have added an item to the cart, they are ready to place an order, and then they see that promo code box or coupon and they think to themselves, you know what, maybe I can get a 10% discount. And instead of starting the checkout process, they say to themselves, well, let me just go ahead and search online. Maybe I'll find a discount code somewhere. What they end up doing is leaving your website. Instead of placing an order, you end up with an abandoned cart or an abandoned checkout process. For the other types of reasons that you might have that cause people to abandon, one of the best ways to figure this out is by asking customers who have actually bought from you to understand what were the biggest struggles, what actually could have stopped them from actually placing an order on your website. Number 3, identifying leaky pages on your website. You need to again jump into your analytics and you need to look at your top content report. And in this case, we're not going to look at the bounce rate metric that we've talked about in number 1. Instead, we are going to look at a different metric, and that metric is exit rate. Exit rate is the percentage of visitors who either came from a different page on the website or they came from an external source from a different website. They are at this page and now they look around and they say to themselves, you know what? No, I'm not going to continue. Imagine this scenario. I'm on Facebook. I see an ad. I click an ad. I'm landing on your website. So now I'm landing on the landing page. If I leave the website right away, then that is considered a bounce. But in this case, I like the landing page. I like the messaging. I like the product. It actually solves a problem that I have been dealing with for a while. So I'm going to actually continue navigating. So I'm going to look at a few information about your website. I'm going to go to the product page. And so I've navigated through multiple pages on the website. And now the product page, I say, you know what? I want to leave. Maybe I got a phone call and I got busy and I forgot about your site and your product pages all together. That is when you have an exit. A bounce rate tells you that there is a problem on messaging, that your website did not convince people to stay on the website. Exit rate, on the other hand, tells you that people are struggling not with trusting the website, not with trusting the messaging, because they've already made the commitment. They've already navigated through multiple pages on the website, but now they got to your product pages and they say to themselves, oh man, no, I want to leave the website. A high exit rate will tell you that there is a problem usually with the page design, with the page layout, sometimes with the information architecture of the website. Different pages on your website will have different exit rates. You want to look at the exit rate for your category pages, and you want to look at the exit rate for your product pages. And again, you can look at the exit rate for your cart and the checkout process. An exit rate of 20% or higher on category pages is considered really high. An exit rate of 30% or higher on product pages is considered really high. Now, there's lots of theory behind this. So if you want to know more about exit rates, leave a comment below and I will record a video on the topic. So now we've looked at our different pages and we've identified pages where the exit rate is too high. Your job now is to look at those pages very carefully and evaluate whether you are presenting information in a way that answers all the questions that people have. Again, this centers around the information that we're presenting on the page. Is the information very clear? Is it laid out in a way that answers all the questions that people have? When you identify those pages where there is a problem with the presentation of the information, go ahead and make those fixes on your website. So we are not done yet, about halfway through, but you might notice that this video is taking a little bit longer than I expected. So in order for you to view the rest of the tips, please make sure to click to view part 2 of this video. And as I promised you, I've kept my best tip, the one that is going to really help you improve your site conversion rate, until the end. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do so, like and comment on this video. Let's jump in to part 2.